Hello and welcome to In Novato. I'm your host, Pam Hazley, and we're opening up the show from Novato's very own Space Museum, located in Pacheco Plaza in Ignacio, where today we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the first moon landing in 1969. How often do you get to meet an astronaut and ask questions? Well, NCTV got that opportunity today. Let's take a look.
Been told by many of the astronauts, the Apollo astronauts in particular, that they feel as if we are completing their mission.
I've done this probably about 15 years. This is Christmas, birthday, Halloween all wrapped into one.
When I was 11 years old, they had the first moon landing, and I remember my father getting me and my sisters, and I felt so proud because I was 11 years old and it was Apollo 11. And so since then I've been collecting artifacts and saving everything, and now I use all this, to outreach to the public and the kids.
This is special because I've had a fascination with space ever since I was young.
What would you name the next manned spaceship?
Galaxy. We need to remember the Earth is our home. We get into space through its very thin dome. So we will be careful and treat it with love while down there on Earth or here floating above.
Okay, I'm Al Worden. I was on Apollo 15 back in 1971. And 48 years ago today, I started back to the Earth from the moon. Today.
I think that we are an exploring people. We're curious. If you think about exploration, maritime exploration, and the evolution of flying airplanes, in space, we're just scratching the surface. These young people are the ones that are going to make the better, faster, cheaper technologies that are going to get us there. And we are going to continue to explore the universe.
Hi, I'm Dr. Yvonne Cagle. I'm your homegrown Novato astronaut. Go Hornets! Hey, all right, here we go. Novato High, Hornets, let's hear it. This is the only town that's had both an astronaut and a meteorite land and call its home. So again, to you all, round of applause.
You have a little bit of a different background than some of the people who have a flight pilot history. You're a medical doctor.
Right.
Did you always want to be an astronaut?
Always. As a matter of fact, here in Novato, I was at the top of an old oak tree talking to the man on the moon, and that was the night that a human was actually walking on the moon. And from that moment, my dreams took wings. I didn't look back.
Can you explain to me, I've had to watch the Apollo 11 documentary approximately 1,000 times, and what always amazes me is how calm everybody sounds when you're being jettisoned up into space or circling the moon. This is a pretty stressful time. How do you stay so calm?
Let me jump in on that a second. We had a guy by the name of Gene Kranz, and if we jumped a little bit out of our seat, sit back down, you know. He was very demanding, and we had to focus. We weren't allowed to get too excited. We had to focus on what we were doing, so there wasn't a whole lot of time. We waited until they landed before we could explode and enjoy ourselves. So anyway, I'll pass it over to you now.
How do you stay calm?
Okay, so I'm going to answer the question, staying calm, from two perspectives. One is from the Capcom seat, because the Capcom is communicating to the crew, but the flight director's in charge. And that was an interesting relationship. And I'm sure it was a very interesting relationship in the Apollo days as well. Norm Knight was my flight director when I was talking to the Hubble crew, STS-125. And when they had an engine malfunction during that flight, which most people don't realize, as a Capcom, we just had to parrot what was being said at Mission Control and not make anything up. So it was pretty easy for us because we could talk the language within the Mission Control room from training, and then also hearing it and working with Mission Control from the space shuttle. Now, from the space shuttle perspective, it was a little bit different. Mission Control didn't give us a lot of information that we didn't need to have, and so I do remember launching. And I was surprised on the first flight where we got a master alarm 7 seconds off the pad. Very first flight in space, and the master alarm's going, it's not supposed to do that. But there were a whole team of smart engineers, flight controllers, back room, and of course the guys in the front room figuring it out. And so they told us what we needed. It was kind of hard, but we didn't want to ad-lib in the shuttle as well. So how did we stay calm? We just focused on the mission.
Well, and Dan, you were on the International Space Station for 6 months, so you probably know this better than anyone, what it's like to come back to Earth after being in zero gravity for so long. What was that like for you?
The human body is so good at adapting to many different things. The human body itself will figure out how to survive. The other thing to think about, I think, when I think of going to Mars is for a one-way transmission is 28 minutes each way. So on these long year and a half missions, 2 years, like Al was talking about, we're going to have to learn how to think back to when the whaling ships went out for years at a time and very little communication. And when you had communication, it was very delayed. And that's a different kind of living. And we're going to be living, hopefully have large groups of people that will be there on Mars. But the psychological challenge of somewhat being isolated with smaller groups of people, I think, is going to be one of the biggest challenges.
For everybody in the audience who wants to go to space someday, what do they have to do now to be an astronaut?
Well, first of all, let me say I flew in space with Dan, so we'll have to talk about whether he.
Now we have to talk about what you argued about.
Only took 20 years for me to find out this. So, anyway, for the children in the audience, so at NASA, it's not just about being an astronaut. We're just a really small part of this giant organization that does many things. We have people doing 500 different jobs. So, for example, when I went to fix the Hubble Space Telescope, someone had to invent the tools that we used. Someone had to show us how to use them. Well, that was Ed's job. So I was only successful because Ed and all his colleagues came up with these brilliant tools that we used and trained us on how to use them. And so when we come back from space, we stand in front of the crowds and we just remind them that the real heroes of the space program are not the astronauts. It's really our families who watch us ride these rockets into space, and people like Ed and Joey down there who support the team. So we're really grateful. They're the ones that protect our lives. In terms of the tools that Ed invented. One was a drill, and it had a 7/16" driver on it. And if you take that tool on Earth and put it on a bolt head and pull the trigger, the bolt will turn, right? In space, since there's no gravity, if you put that on the bolt and pull the trigger, what turns? The astronaut. So the astronaut's doing circles. So whenever we wanted to do that, we made sure all the cameras were off. I swear. We never did that with your $700,000 drill before. And the other thing I'll say is I wish you could all go into space to see the Earth from space, because it is this special blue and green jewel, this marble, this island that's in this vast black ocean. I wish we could fly all the leaders of the world in space so they could see how fragile this is. The other thing I will say is, we don't see borders from space. And so it really is one global family. And from that perspective, we've all been changed by seeing the Earth from space, because we are really one global community, and it's really important not only to take care of the Earth, but to promote peace and take care of each other. So the next time someone cuts you off on the freeway, take a deep breath and say, brother, sister, that's okay. We're all in this together.
Ed, I think I Googled you more than anyone else, because every time I would go somewhere, I would find another program that you were instrumental in, whether it was Hubble or the spacesuits or what you're doing now. How did you manage to have a hand in like every exciting part of the space program?
Yeah, I was very fortunate. Sometimes I feel like Forrest Gump, I was just very fortunate. I went to the University of Delaware as a communications major, and I came home after the first semester, and a fellow named Bob Craig, I used to cut his grass when I was a kid, lived down the street. He came knocking on my father's door one Saturday, asked me what I was doing for work that summer. I explained I work for Mr. Davison's construction company. He asked me how much they were paying me. I told him, he said, I'll pay you 25 cents more an hour and you get to stay inside in the air conditioning. I said, doing what? And he said, a suit subject. I said, what the heck is a suit subject? He said, well, the company I work for is building a spacesuit for NASA. This is 1976. I said, I thought they were wrapping that whole NASA thing up. No. We got a new program and they're going to reuse everything. So I tried it out, fell in love with it.
Anybody who's watched on television a SpaceX launch, that's one thing. But I will guarantee you the most exciting part of that is watching a booster come down out of the sky and landing on a pad, a specific pad in an absolute perfect spot. So that's what they're doing for us. They're pushing us into reusable launch vehicles, and that's going to be the savior of the space program.
Well, to continue the theme of the first man on the moon, the Marin County Fair's theme was Over the Moon, with nightly fireworks, live music, and colorful attractions. Well, it's been an eventful summer from the Marin County Fair to the 4th of July. Here are highlights from this year's 4th of July parade, whose theme was none other, out of this world.
Ta-da! Happy 4th of July!
Well, Novato's local AFJROTC program is at Novato High School. NCTV got to meet some of the cadets who are in that program.
I've been in the program for 3 years, and it's been amazing.
I've been in the program for 2 years. I came into freshman orientation with my expectations for high school really low, and I walked to a couple tables set up around the gym, and one of the first tables was the ROTC table. For some reason that drew my attention. 30 minutes later, I told my mom I want to speak to my counselor and I want to join JROTC.
I was convinced by my friends saying that it was fun and it was like very productive because it taught me a lot of aerospace from what we're learning this year. And well, one of my career or what I want to be is a pilot. Tonight we are recognizing all the cadets that have helped out ROTC in one way or another.
The event tonight is a promotion ceremony, so cadets will be promoted from what they are now to the next rank.
You never know what's going to happen, and you do a lot, and then you get seen for it, and then you get rewarded for it.
I say go for it. ROTC is built to help people build up who they are and to actually build citizens of character and capability. That's actually our slogan.
What I like the best is that everyone here is accepting. Nobody neglects you or misjudges you.
The other things that I really love about this program is the opportunities I get to meet members of the community, veterans, and participate in events like that where you can support local veterans and just support the community as a whole.
I guess I'd encourage students to join this program because it makes you feel like family. No one is judged. You can be whoever you want.
Even if you're not going into the military, this program is great for even if you're not going into the military. There's tons of leadership opportunities, community opportunities. What you learn in this program will help you in any field you go into.
I hope that I'll be able to take all my skills and become a better person, get a great job, and put my learnings to action.
I'm going to be graduating high school. I'm going to take 2 years off to go on a religious mission, and then plan on going into a 4-year college, maybe studying business management or something in finance or law.
Mainly I want to go to college and study seismology. If not, hopefully go into the Air Force.
I'm probably going to go to College of Marin and study there for 2 years and then transfer out to I don't know where.
Nostalgia has been going on for 23 years.
All right.
And it's been gotten to be a bigger and bigger show here. We get some cars from all over the Bay Area who come in for the show.
Well, I cruised for a while in the station wagon, the GMP station wagon, the New Yorker, yeah. And they named the cruise after me, which I thought was great. And just having a fabulous time.
This is a 59 El Camino Chevrolet. I bought it 2 years ago. It had been partially restored. I wouldn't call it restored. It had been hot rodded a bit. And then I had to do some additional work to it. And at this point, it's pretty much a turnkey car. You get in it, start it, and it's reliable enough to drive anywhere you want. I've wanted this car since I was 12 years old, so this is my dream car.
Hello NUSD community, it's my pleasure to welcome you back to the 2019-20 school year. This is going to be very exciting on so many levels. I want to start by telling you a little bit about myself. I'm Chris Koska, I'm your new superintendent. Along the way I've been a teacher, and when I was a teacher I learned the importance of empathy, patience, and building strong and healthy relationships with each student. As a principal, I learned the power that you can get when you harness a team of people behind the right goal to make things better for students. And as a curriculum director, where I learned the value of focused professional development and the energy that can bring to an entire school system. In the 2019-20 school year, you're going to see 3 key areas of focus. One of them is going to be relationships and building strong and healthy relationships with each child. The second is that we're going to make sure that kids have the interventions that they need, whether they're social, emotional, or academic. And third, we're going to have a deep analysis of how we assess our students to make sure they're achieving their greatest potential. You're also going to see a lot of construction. In 2016, the Novato community entrusted us with Measure G to make some improvements to our facilities. You're going to see us doing new roofs, upgrading sewer systems. You're going to see us doing some fancier things like breaking ground on large facilities such as the Performing Arts Centers and Science Centers at both of our high schools. You're going to see the One to World rollout continue, and that's putting Chromebooks in the hands of each of our students. I hope that you will see that we're going to be great stewards of these dollars that you entrusted us with. So in closing, I wish you all a great end to your summer and an excellent start to the school year. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. I'm Pam Hazley, and we'll see you in the next episode right here in Novato. If you have ideas for a show segment or a local event you'd like to feature, we'd love to hear from you. Just send us an email to info@novatotelevision.tv and we'll contact you about possibly airing your show idea or event. Please visit our website to learn more about NCTV and like us on our Facebook page. Be sure to tune in next month to see what your local government, nonprofit businesses, and community volunteers have been working on right here in Novato.